Hi, my name is Royal. So today we're making a pattern drafting of a corset bodice. So what you have to do is understand that we have different ways you can pattern draft a corset, and we also need to look to our clients, understand their needs so that we know how to draft it. You are not a robot, so you don't have to follow each and every step of the way. You just have to be cautious as to what your client wants or the particular design that your client has ordered, and you start with it. So this is my basic blog that I have drafted, and after drafting it out, I traced it on another piece of paper. So what I'll do is to get the midpoint of my shoulder. After getting the midpoint of my shoulder, I'll mark it out. So I am using centimeter, and my midpoint is 6 centimeter, but if you are using inches, you just find the midpoint of it and you mark it out. So after that, I draw out from, or rather I connect the midpoint to the bust point. From my bust point, I move down 2.5 cm. Those using inches, you move down 1 inch. So along that mark, I'm going to find the middle of the area. You don't have to mark it anywhere. It has to be at the middle of that area. So then after that, I'm going to square out a line from my bust point to the center front. Now when I mean square out a line, you need to use your square so that the line will be straight. So where's my square? This is my square. So it's having an angle 90 both. So you place the base at the center front or the straight line of whatever pattern you're drafting, and you draw out your straight line. So it's going to give you a straight line. So this is our bust area, our bust line. So after the bust line, I'm going to mark out my under bust measurement. My client's under bust measurement is 8 cm. So from under the waist, or from the waist up, I'll measure 8 cm of each side of that legs. So but for those of you that took your client's measurement of under the bust from the shoulder to under the bust, you don't have to fret over it. It's the same thing. I just prefer using this method. So once you've gotten your under bust measurement, you mark down your 2.5 cm, which is your 1 inches. You've gotten that, and you've gotten the steps. So what you do now is you take out from under the bust half an inch. Those using centimeter, you take from under the bust 1.3 centimeter, and you mark it out on both sides of the leg, that leg. Then once you are done with that, I'm going to draw and connect it to that leg at the waistline. Then after that, I'll connect it to the 2.5 cm or 1 inches below the bust point to the under bust. Along the bust line, move up by 2.5 cm for those using centimeter. For those using inches, it is 1 inch. Now this is not a fixed number. It only depends on your client's needs. So if you want to move higher based on your client's need, I recommend you don't go more than 5 cm. So you can go from 2.5, 3 cm, 4 cm, 5 cm, and that 5 cm is equivalent to 2 inches. Now after that, I'm going to move out from that my 2.5 cm that I move upward from the bust level 1.3 cm. For those using inches, it is half an inch. From the bust point down to under the bust you are going to measure it out to get your upper bust point. This is also called the bust radius. So under bust points, so the bust point gave me 8 cm, so I'll mark my upper bust region. So here is my upper bust. So from upper of the bust, or from the upper bust point, you mark out half an inch for those using inches, while for those working with centimeter, you mark down 1.3 cm. So corset is usually tight or fitted at the upper region, which is the bust area. So to get or to know the amount to take out, you place your ruler from the shoulder neck point down to the bust point. So any excess that you've gotten out, or the space in between it, is what you will cut out. So you draw out your line, not a complete line, to just somewhere close to the upper bust region. So after measuring it, I got 1.5 cm. So if you don't want to go through the stress of placing your tape or your ruler to mark this line out, you can just use a constant or standard figure number, which is that 1.5. Then for those using inches, is 1 less quarter inch. One less quarter inch. So it is not really a fixed one, so you don't have to be scared that this pattern is not going to come out well. It's okay with that. But if you know that your client likes something conservative, a bit close, you don't have to move down from the upper bust point, that's half inch or 1.3 cm. Now I'll measure from that point to the bust point, and I'll mark out the same also, so that to equalize the length of the upper bust region. So once you've equalized it, what you do now is to create a curve. Now, but before creating the upper curve, you are going to draw out where the cup is going to sit, which is going to look like the shape of a U. So I recommend that when you are drawing out your curve, you look out for it so look exactly like the shape of a U, because it helps you fix the cup well, and it's easier for you whenever you are sewing. So you are connecting it to the under bust. Once you are done with that, so this is how it will look like. You do the same for the side front. But before that, I would just like to connect the cup region first, which is the upper bust area, to the center front. So we are done with that. So now this part is tricky, but don't be scared. You can move up 5 cm along the armhole if you don't want to expose your body parts, and you just connect it to the upper bust. But for this illustration, I'm moving down by half an inch for those using inches. Then for those using centimeter, you move down by 1.3 cm. So there's any way you can do it. So either you go up along the armhole by 5 cm, or you move down by this half an inch, those using inches, those using centimeter, 1.3 cm. So after that, you're going to connect it to the upper bust. So I'll be making use of my French cuff. So I advise you to get your French cuff. It makes your line comes out nice and straight. And once you have a straight line, once you are pattern drafting, once you are constructing the garment, it's easier for you. So this is how the side upper curve looks like. So now how do you know how long to go before creating the cup? So you just move up by 5 cm. So I'm going to use the metrics on my French curve 5 cm and I'll mark it out. So after that, we are going to try to connect it to create a curve, because we can't just leave it like this, and no human figure has a sharp edge like that. So we are going to curve it out. Then you smoothen it out. You smooth out the areas that you think is having a sharp edge. So this is how it looks like. So you go to the side front of the panel, then you take out 1.3 cm, but those using inches, you take out ½ inch and you draw it down to the side waist. You curve out the second cup. So I'll draw out or connect from that upper bust point to the mid shoulder width. So that excess in between, the excess is going to be cut out. So after that, I'm going to number my pattern pieces, and the fifth one, which is going to represent my net, I'd like to let you know that net has some parts that is stretchier than the others. The stretchiest part is a crosswise grain, while the part that does not stretch is a lengthwise grain. So I advise you to place the stretchiest part around the chest region. So after that, I'm going to cut my pattern piece out. So if you notice that the down part of your dart leg is kind of sharp, it's going to affect the garment after construction. That place is going to bulge out. So when practicing your corset and you notice that it comes out, it's slant the way this roller is placed but not straight like this, just snap it and send it to me so that I'll guide you on how to correct it, because if you don't correct it on the pattern paper, it's going to affect when the garment has been constructed. So observe your dart legs if it's sharp. So after that, just cut the other pattern pieces out. Yeah, this is it. So I'm going to place my balance line, which I should have done before cutting them out. So after placing under the cup, I'm also going to mark it out, the balance mark at the upper bust area. So to transfer this balance mark to your fabric, you notch your fabric at that line. So this upper part, the pattern piece 5, is a basic neckline, so I'm going to rule out or curve out my new neckline. So I went in by 2.5 cm, which is 1 inch. Is not constant, depending on the type of neckline you are drawing. Then I came down by 5 cm, so you can choose to use whatever width or depth that you desire. So after getting out my new neckline, you cut it out. If you don't know how to measure your clients to get the exact neckline that they require, you can request a video on it and I'll send a video to you. So after that, I'm going to slash one of the lines and tape it. But before doing that, I'm going to place another pattern piece underneath it, because the lines usually are not of the same length. So the other pattern paper piece that I'll place beneath the yoke or pattern piece 5 will help me draw out a new curve line to balance it. So that's what I'll do now. I'll draw out a new curve line. So I advise you, whenever you place or you want to through your pattern, you don't shorten the longer one to match up with the shorter one. You lengthen the shorter one to match up with the longer ones. So this is it. This is the corset. We are done with it. So you notice I mark out my center front curve and side front, then the upper yoke. So I advise you that whenever you want to stitch, you pin it all through around the cup. As you are stitching, you are taking out the pins. It will help you work faster and safer. Now I told you before that we have two types of corsets. We have the strapless corset, or called the strap corset. Then we also have the corset that you can attach a yoke to it. Now without the pattern piece 5, we have the strapless corset, which is just made up of 1 pattern piece 2, pattern piece 3, and pattern piece 4. So you can use just these parts of the illustration to make a strapless or strap corset. So thank you so much for watching. So you can follow me on Facebook on Roex Fashion World. I send updates of pattern drafting there as well. Thank you so much.